कैसे हैं आप सभी? आई होप आप सभी बहुत अच्छे से होंगे। क्लास की शुरुआत करते हैं। चैप्टर है ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेस। लर्निंग पार्ट पॉपुलेशन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एंड डेंसिटी, growth of population, population composition, factors influencing population distribution, characteristic of population distribution. It is human who use the natural resources to create an economy and infrastructure that you have read about in the previous chapters. It is humans who build wealth for the nations. It is humans who have invented machinery and technology, and it is humans who have devised space explorations. It is their skills, talent, abilities and knowledge as well as ideas which are used for the production of goods, their distribution and consumption. बच्चों, वो ह्यूमन ही है जो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज को क्रिएट करते हैं, इकोनॉमी को, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को, जो कि आपने प्रीवियस चैप्टर में पढ़ा है। वो ह्यूमन्स ही हैं जो कि वेल्थ अपने नेशंस के लिए बनाते हैं। ये ह्यूमन्स ही हैं जो इन्वेंट करते हैं मशीनरी को, टेक्नोलॉजी को। ये ह्यूमन्स ही हैं जो कि उनके स्किल्स, उनके टैलेंट, उनकी एबिलिटीज़, उनके नॉलेज के कारण, उनके आइडियाज़ के कारण ही गुड्स का प्रोडक्शन हो पाता है और उसके बाद डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, कंजम्पशन भी होता है। Population distribution and density. The way in which people are spread across the Earth's surface is known as the pattern of population distribution. Population is not evenly distributed anywhere in the world. People mostly live in those areas which are accessible, productive, and rich in natural resources. More than 90% of the world's population lives in about 10% of the land in surface. Some areas are more populated and some are sparsely populated. The crowded regions are South and Southeast Asia, now Northeastern and North America and Europe. Very few people live in tropical deserts, high mountains, high latitudes areas of equatorial forest. Most of the people live north of the equator than south of the equator. Almost 3/4 of the world's total population live in two continents, Africa and Asia. Just 10 countries are inhabited by 60% of the world's total population. Each of these countries comprises more than 1 million people. बच्चों, आगे बढ़ने से पहले, did you know about 60% of world's population live in just 10 countries of the world? China, India and the USA together constitute more than 40% of the world's population. क्या आप जानते हैं कि 60% वर्ल्ड का पॉपुलेशन सिर्फ वर्ल्ड के 10 कंट्रीज में रहता है। चाइना, इंडिया, यूएसए, ये तीनों मिलाकर के वर्ल्ड के पॉपुलेशन को 40% का ये भागीदारी देते हैं। As you can observe, certain part of the world are more populated than the others. The number of people living in per unit area of land is known as the population density. Generally, it is measured per square kilometer, so the density of population is the number of people living in 1 square kilometer. The average density of population for the world is 49 persons per square kilometer. India has an average density of 360 persons per square kilometer, but it varies from 13% per square kilometer in Arunachal Pradesh to more than 9,000 persons per square kilometer in Delhi. How can you find out the density of population of a country? It is quite simple. Take the total population of a country and divide it by the country's total area. The result is the number of people per square kilometer or the density of population. For example, let us calculate the density of population for India. चलिए इंडिया की population की density को हम calculate करते हैं। Total population 140,000,000. Total area square per kilometer 3,287,263. Density of population 1,40,00,000 divided by 3,287,263 equals to 425.89. So the density of population for India is 426 persons per square kilometer in 2024, with an average density of 383 persons per square kilometer in 2011. India is one of the most densely populated countries of the world. However, Netherlands 407 and Belgium 368, in Europe and Japan 337 register higher density. China, though most populous country in the world, has less density than India. The density of population in India has been constantly consistently increasing over the years. In 901 it was 77 only, which increased to 117 in 1951 and 383 in 2011. Within the country, the density varies from region to region. According to census 2011, union territories of Delhi and Chandigarh have the density of 11297 and 9252 persons per square kilometers respectively, whereas the density in Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram is 17 and 52 persons per square kilometer respectively. Bihar 1102 followed by West Bengal 1029, Kerala 859 and UP 828 has the maximum density of population. A new state, Telangana, formed in 2014 has a population density 307. Recently in 2019, Jammu and Kashmir state has been divided into two union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Let's do it. Get into two groups and have an intra-class debate on the topic population, a boon or a curse. बच्चों, आपको दो ग्रुप्स में डिवाइड होना है और एक इंट्रा क्लास डिबेट रखना है टॉपिक के ऊपर. कौन सा टॉपिक है? पॉपुलेशन, अ बून और अ कर्स. फैक्टर्स इन्फ्लुएंसिंग पॉपुलेशन डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. You have just seen how unevenly the population is distributed. East Asia, parts of Western Africa and Central Europe seem to be most crowded, while Northern Asia and Northern America are sparsely populated. Why is there such a difference? Various geographical and human factors affect the distribution of population. Let us consider the factors here. Geographical factors. Topography. The plains have higher density of population as compared to the mountainous regions. The steep mountain slopes restrict the availability of agricultural land, transportation, industries and settlement. The northern plains are the most densely populated areas in India. Climate. Too hot, too cold, too dry and too wet areas are least populated, unlike the areas with equable and temperate climate. Siberia, northern parts of Canada, Sahara and Europe have low population due to their extreme climate. Soil. Fertile soil provides suitable land for agriculture. Fertile plains such as Brahmaputra and Ganga in India, Huanghe and Yangtze in China and Nile in Egypt are densely populated. Water. Rivers are an important sources of fresh water. They supply water for domestic purposes, industries, agriculture and transport. Thus, people tend to settle in the river valley. Even in the desert oases have permanent settlement around them. Minerals. The presence of minerals also attract more people than the areas which are devoid of minerals. The gold rush of Australia and the discovery of oil in Middle East countries led to the colonization of people in these areas. Human factors. Social. Areas that offer better education and housing system and have better health facilities such as Mumbai have a higher concentration of people. Cultural. Places with religious or cultural significance attract people. Some examples are Varanasi, Jerusalem and Vatican City. Economic. Industrial development regions provide large-scale employment opportunities to the people and thus support higher density of population like Mumbai, Osaka, Pittsburgh and London. Political. Sometimes government promote economic growth in certain areas by offering special discounts to industries to be located in those areas. These areas generally attract people. For example, Kandla Special Economic Zone in Gujarat. Distributed areas with unstable governments often have low density of population. For example, Afghanistan. Thinking short. Why is a huge population not necessarily an indicator of high economic development? बच्चों इसके बारे में सोचिए. Growth of population. The world's population is growing very rapidly. This rapid growth of population is called population explosion. In the last 50 years, the world population has more than doubled. In 2009, the figure had reached 6.8 billion. In 2023, it rose to 8 billion. Look at the graph on the next page. It shows the growth of population from 1950 to the present day and also estimates growth till about 2050 when it will reach 9.1 billion. बच्चों यहाँ पर नेक्स्ट पेज पे हम देखेंगे, ग्राफ देखेंगे कैसे इंक्रीज हो रहा है जो पॉपुलेशन है. Experts believe that the maximum increase will be in the less development countries and among the poorest populations. On the other hand, there will not be much increases in the development countries. Also, it is believed that countries such as Germany, Italy and Japan will have a lower population than what they have today. How do you think it is possible? These countries will never increasingly low birth rates and the death rates will be higher than birth rates. Let us consider how population has been growing. बच्चों आप यहाँ पर वर्ल्ड पॉपुलेशन ग्रोथ में देख सकते हैं कि 1950 में कितना था, 1960 में कितना था, 1980 में और 2050 में कितना हो जाएगा. Population change. The change in number of population over a period of time can be termed as a population change. Population keeps changing every minute. There is a birth or a death being recorded every minute. The birth rate is the number of births per 1,000 people, while the death rate is number of deaths per 1,000 people. The difference between birth rate and death rate of a country is the natural growth rate. Every birth or death is recorded. You may think that one would balance the other, but that is not what is happening. The birth rate has remained high while the death rate has gone down. What do you think it is so? People are living longer. So lower death rates and longer life expectancy are factors responsible for such a rapid rise in population. Life expectancy. The average number of years that an individual is expected to live is known as life expectancy. It is an important indicator of the health and the equality of life in a country. People generally live longer where the factors such as improved health care, proper food supplies, better sanitation and education are available. Where people do not have access to such facilities, the life expectancy is lower. जहाँ पर लोगों को proper food supply होता है, better sanitation होता है, education available होता है, वहाँ पर लोग ज़्यादा दिनों तक रहते हैं, ज़्यादा दिनों तक वो जी पाते हैं, उनकी लाइफ एक्सपेंड रहती है. लेकिन जहाँ इन सब चीज़ों की कमी होती है वहाँ पर लोग ज़्यादा नहीं जी पाते. एक्सपेक्टेंसी जो होती है लाइफ की वो कम होती है. द हायर the life expectancy, the better is quality of life in a country. Sometimes the life expectancy is also affected by war, disease, famines and poor health. Characteristics of population distribution. Population characteristics tells about the makeup or nature of the population. For example, the age, sex ratio, literacy rates and the rural or urban divide describe the qualities of population. Age structure. This refers to the composition of a country by age groups. It is an important element that demographers use to make projections for the future of the growth or decline of a population. Supposing that a country has more population under 16, it will need to plan for its resources to meet their needs for the future such as education and healthcare. It will also indicate the population growth needs to be controlled. If a country has more population over 60, the country requires to meet a different set of needs, such as the dependence of 60 plus on the working population and their healthcare. Sex ratio. Another aspect of population is the number of males and females in it. Sex ratio is the ratio between males and females. It is expressed as the numbers of females per 1,000 males. Generally, there are more males than females. The world average shows 98710 ratio 1000. That is for every 1,000 males, there are 987 females. Examples of countries with a high proportion of males to females are United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait and Oman. On the contrary, countries with more females to males are Chad, Armenia, El Salvador, Estonia, Macau and Lebanon. In India, the sex ratio is 9:4 ratio 1,000 or 9:4 females per 1,000 males. The differences in the sex composition might be due to gender differences in death rate, migration, sex ratio at birth and undercounting of women. It is important for the government to know about the sex ratio so that it can plan its resources accordingly. Thinking short. Why is that the sex ratio is in favor of men in India? How do you think this will affect the economic development of India? आपको क्यों लगता है कि इंडिया में सेक्स रेशियो जो है वो मेन के फेवर में है और ये इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट को, इंडिया के इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट को कैसे अफेक्ट करेगा? बस ज़रा सोचिए बच्चों इसके बारे में आप इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा. Literacy. This indicates whether a person can read or write. Literacy rates and the level of education show how developed a country is. This is because it is believed that a higher level of education and literacy leads to great awareness and help in the uplift of economic and social conditions. The literacy rate in developed countries is usually high, with Georgia at 100%, followed by Cuba, Estonia and Latvia at 99.8%. On the other hand, Mali has a literacy rate of 5.47%, while Niger has 39.7%. In India, the average literacy rate is 81.3%. 8%. The literacy rate in India is 74%. Male is 82% and female is 65% only. The rural-urban divide. The people who live in the villages make up the rural population while people living in cities make up the urban population. Though the world is urbanizing very fast, the percentage of rural population is also increasing. It is believed that there were 3.3 billion rural people in 2005. The less developed regions have the maximum rural population, accounting for 3 billion of the total. Of this, the largest number of rural population lives in India, 0.8 billion, China 0.8 billion and Indonesia 0.1 billion. In India, you will find that 65% of the population is rural. The number of people living in the villages varies a lot. From 1,000 in some villages, about 10,000 in highly populated villages. There are 40 cities in India with more than 1 million of these. 8 are metropolitan cities with more than 4 million residents. The rural-urban composition of population is characterized by different occupation, different needs and very little standards of living. It is the government's responsibility to provide basic amenities in rural areas and help improve the quality of rural life. Therefore, it is important to know how many people reside in rural or urban areas beside that indicates how urbanized a country is. Let's do it. Conduct a survey in your school and surroundings to know the numbers of males and females. Answer these. How many males and females reside in this area? Is the sex ratio favorable to women? बच्चों, एक सर्वे आप कंडक्ट कीजिए अपने स्कूल में या स्कूल के सराउंडिंग में और मेल और फीमेल कितने हैं उनके नंबर्स लिखिए कि सबसे पहले देखिए कि मेल्स और फीमेल्स आपके एरिया में कितने रहते हैं और क्या जो सेक्स रेशियो है वो वुमेन में फेवरेबल है या नहीं है. Population composition. A country may be as much crowded as it, but it has only little to do this with its level of economic development. To illustrate, both Bangladesh and Japan are too densely populated, but Japan is economically developed in comparison to Bangladesh. For understanding the role of people as a resource, it is requisite to know little more about their qualities. People differ to a great extent in their age, sex, health, condition, literacy level, occupation and income level. Understanding these characteristics of the people is essential. Population composition implies the structure of the population. The composition of population helps us in knowing the number and percentage of their being males or females, the age group they belong to, the education they have acquired and the level of type of occupation they are employed, in their income levels and health conditions. By looking at the population pyramid, also called an age sex pyramid, is an interesting way of studying the population composition of a country. A population pyramid shows the percentage of the total population subdivided into males and females in each of those groups. The total population divided into various age groups, that is 5 to 9 years, 10 to 14 years and so on. We come to know from the shape of the population pyramid the position of the people living in that particular country. The number of children below 15 years is shown at the bottom and shows the birth level. The size of the top shows the number of the aged people above 65 years and reflect the numbers of deaths. Besides, we learn from the population pyramid the number of dependents in a country. The dependents are two types: young dependents aged below 15 years and elderly dependents aged over 65 years, those who belong to the working age or economically active. The population pyramid of a country with high birth and death rate is broad at the base and rapidly narrows towards the top. The reason is, although many children are born, a large percentage of them die in their infancy. Only a few become adults and very few reach old age. This situation is reflected by the pyramid shown for Kenya. In those countries where death rate, especially amongst the very young, are or a decrease, the pyramid is above in the younger age groups. The region is more infants survive to adulthood. This is evident from the pyramid for India. Such population contains comparatively larger number of young people. It implies a strong and expanding labor force. In countries like Japan, low birth rates make the pyramid narrow at the base. Decreased death rates allow a number of people to reach old age. The rate of population growth affects the economic and social status of a country. It influences the gainful utilization of natural resources. It has been observed that in developed countries, the growth rate of a population is low. Thus, the standard of living is high. It is the reverse in underdeveloped and developing countries. बच्चों अब आ जाते हैं लेट्स डू इट पर। पॉपुलेशन पिरामिड हेल्प्स इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द पॉपुलेशन ऑफ अ कंट्री, डिस्कस। बच्चों पॉपुलेशन पिरामिड कंट्री के पॉपुलेशन को अंडरस्टैंड करने में हेल्प करता है, डिस्कस कीजिए इसके बारे में। बच्चों इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। एक्सरसाइजेस पर आ जाते हैं। टिक द करेक्ट आंसर। द नंबर ऑफ पर्सन्स लिविंग इन पर यूनिट एरिया इज कॉल्ड, ऑप्शन ए, ऑप्शन बी, ऑप्शन सी, ऑप्शन डी। आगे की प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। फिल द गैप्स। बच्चों यहाँ पर आपको गैप्स को फिल करना है चैप्टर की मदद से, इसे खुद से कीजिएगा। राइट T for true and F for false statements. More than 90% of the world's population live in about 30% of the land surface. True, false। बच्चों आगे की प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। आंसर द फॉलोइंग क्वेश्चंस ब्रीफली। बच्चों चैप्टर की मदद से इन क्वेश्चंस के आंसर की प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। आंसर द फॉलोइंग क्वेश्चंस इन डिटेल। बच्चों आपको यहाँ पर जो क्वेश्चंस दिए गए हैं उनकी प्रैक्टिस आपको खुद से करनी है, इनके आंसर्स आपको डिटेल में देने हैं। प्रैक्टिस कीजिएगा इसे चैप्टर की मदद से। स्किल्स एनरिचमेंट जोन, मैप वर्क। विजिट अ विलेज एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव ऑफिस, पंचायत ऑफिस और म्यूनिसिपैलिटी और म्यूनिसिपल कॉर्पोरेशन। गेट द डिटेल्स ऑफ हाउ दे आर रिकॉर्डिंग द डेथ्स एंड बर्थ happening in their respective areas. इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। फन एक्टिविटी, ऑन अ पॉलिटिकल मैप ऑफ इंडिया मार्क द मोस्ट डेंसली पॉपुलेटेड स्टेट एज वेल एज द लेटेस्ट डेंसली पॉपुलेटेड स्टेट। बच्चों इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। एक्टिविटी पर आते हैं। प्रिपेयर क्वेश्चनायर फॉर पॉपुलेशन स्टडी फॉर योर स्कूल कवरिंग द फॉलोइंग पॉइंट्स: फैमिली साइज, सेक्स, एज, लिटरेसी लेवल, ऑक्यूपेशन, इनकम एक्सेट्रा। प्रिपेयर रिपोर्ट बेस्ड ऑन द अबव इन्फॉर्मेशन। इन इन्फॉर्मेशन पर बेस्ड एक रिपोर्ट आपको बनानी है, इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स, व्हाट डू यू थिंक ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर कंसीडर्ड अ रिसोर्स। बच्चों इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से कीजिएगा। आई होप आज की क्लास में हमने जो भी पढ़ा आपको अच्छे से समझ में आ गया होगा। अब आप इसकी प्रैक्टिस खुद से करते रहिएगा।